Cool. So, meeting's recording. First up, what's exciting in your product area, Jackie?
So it's really cool. Two things. We have our release generation from YAML alpha in use by some users right now, which is really, really cool. So they're testing some of the boundaries of the first image, and we're getting good feedback about that. And then the second one is T-Mobile was so excited about the JSON web token that we've developed for Vault that they started using it probably the same day. And we've been talking with them. One of my developers is talking with them. So we're learning about how people are using it and in really creative ways. So it's exciting. There's also 3 other customers that have already started using it, which is just really cool to be hearing that quick of a feedback loop with our users.
Awesome. Can I ask a couple of questions about those?
Yeah.
You said really creative ways. That means not using it for Vault. They're using it for other purposes. The JSON
No, in that they're using the same token to give a machine and an individual user access to a Vault. And we assumed that there'd be 2 different DWAs for that.
Gotcha.
So it was an interesting implementation just to show that we built it with flexibility in mind. And what's even cooler is it was such like a lean, lightweight change to our product that people are able to use it for really wide use cases. And it's still the main purpose, the main job to be done is I want to authenticate with Vault. And that's happening, but they're just authenticating with it in different ways.
Cool. And then the other one, I think I know what release generation from YAML means, but can you describe that a little bit?
So I stopped calling it the releaser CLI.
Okay.
Because I didn't want to confuse anybody. People aren't using the releaser CLI. They're using the script to build a release automation tag inside of their YAML file with the first script that we built. Because we still haven't exposed the steps in that YAML. We're looking to do that next milestone.
Okay, cool. Sorry.
And then I'm really thinking through some of the things that I have dependencies on right now. I learned that my senior backend engineer who was promoted to the engineering manager role in release management won't get backfilled. So we're pivoting to potentially look at some of the next milestones on kind of getting more stability in our product so that we can cross-train and hopefully improve some of our velocity with up-leveling the skills of our engineering team. And then other than that, I'm really excited about a think big with the package team so that we can look about activating that span between package and release. And then Darren, just so that you know, my teammate has reached out to Steve for review on 2 issues. So just wanted you to know that my team has pinged Steve for review. So we're taking some of his capacity.
I think they should coordinate some of that through Elliot. The runner team currently has 25 issues in review, and we're missing deliverables for 13.0. And then we have a number of community reviews as well. So I think we should try to coordinate as much of that through Elliot as possible.
Okay, I can do that.
So you can figure out how to prioritize those, Steve and Tomas this time.
Perfect. That works.
Yeah.
I'll ping him on those then because
yeah.
I feel awful every time the developers they're empowered, of course, to like reach out to each other, but I always feel like just guilty because I know how many customers you're supporting, and I know that you have a lot of stuff on your board, and I even though I'm hamstrung, I feel awful about it.
Yeah, I think it's to the levels now we should have Elliot be the point person that figures out that prioritization, because with so many issues moving from milestone to milestone just because we don't have enough reviewers, and as well as community contributions, I think it's really the engineering management team to kind of figure out the funnel here.
Okay.
Darren, explicitly, should I escalate that or have a conversation with Darby? I mean, typically, are they working on it? Are we getting more reviewers? It sounds like that's the solution.
Yeah, they're working on it. Yeah, I mean, the situation is we've had 2 SMEs for quite a long time on the runner, right? And now we're building out the team. So now we've got those SMEs, training up a bunch of new devs as well, right? And so there's just too much volume for just 2 SMEs. So even though we brought on new folks, it's going to be a while before the new team members can actually step into that maintenance role and be the reviewers like Steve and Tomas. So they're stretched pretty thin. And that's why I'm just saying let's coordinate through Elliot so you can be like, okay, if we've got to take care of the release one this week, we're not going to drop the ball on the one for, say, the Department of Defense, you know, so he can kind of juggle these balls while he's building out the team,
Okay.
SME levels.
Okay. Yeah, I don't really like doing the up and down thing. If you feel like it warrants it, please let me know.
Yeah, I think that's, thank you, Kenny. I think it's fine from the perspective of we've been adding engineers to the team and they're scaling out the team. So I think that's the most we can do at this point. You know what I mean? Continue down that path. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, Jackie. Victor.
Yeah, we are super excited about two things. I don't know if the first it's the delivered features description, but basically we spent the whole past week on design sprint with various folks from the company, clearly, and around Kubernetes management, and it was super awesome. Basically, it might have effects on your groups as well, on how all kinds of applications can be installed and so on. And we are trying to write up a page around that, but it definitely has a huge effect on us. So we are still summarizing those things in direction pages and issues and so on. The other thing that's super exciting are actually two features that we delivered in the past weeks around Terraform. One is the GitLab managed state, where T-Mobile reached out to us already and said that, look, we heard about it and we would like to use it as soon as possible. So it was super awesome. And we hear similar feedback from quite a few customers. And the other is the merge request, where we even had community contributions while we were developing it. And we are looking forward to other Terraform features. That's it.
Cool. On the Terraform state and merge request widget, are those also going to be dog-fooded?
Yes. Basically, the nice thing is that for the state, we want to dog-food ourselves as well. So in the group, we are setting up minor projects. We just have an intern joining the company, and probably she will have one of the tasks is to run all our GitLab, to move all our GitLab memberships for the group under Terraform, just to dog-food our own features. There with the state backend, to get it dog-fooded by a larger GitLab organization will take more time. On the other hand, with the Terraform plan merge request widget, we expect it to be dog-fooded pretty soon by GitLab itself.
Yeah, I mean, it just shows up on any.
It's an awesome feature, and it's very. You need to line into your CI jobs, but it's a very minor change. Pretty clear what it does. So actually, there the nice thing is that we didn't have to develop much, because we actually just create an artifact and we show that artifact in special widget in the merge request. So it's a pretty cool thing.
Cool. Thanks, Victor. Ori, I'm gonna walk.
One more line, and it was motivated largely by current GitLab Terraform usage, actually. So I'm pretty sure that we want to dog food it.
Yeah. Ori, go ahead. I'm gonna walk and talk because my dog is crying to go outside. Although I'm not gonna talk. I'm gonna walk and listen.
Okay, so we made lots of progress with the auto deploy to ECS, which is connecting it to auto DevOps flow, which I'm super excited about. And another thing that is related to this is that we've got a lot of feedback, bugs, and requests from the things that we just deployed, like the ECS template and the AWS type environment variables, which means that we're probably in the right direction because customers are using it and requesting stuff. So I'm really happy about that, and we're making progress. Second thing is thanks to Jackie, who helped me connect to some customers. Finally got responses that I can actually work with about Spinnaker users and some things that we're missing. So that's super exciting as well. This has been an open issue for at least 3 months now, and we've got, like, I'm sorry for the language, really crappy results from the survey, but at least now we have something to work with. And another thing that I wanted to share with the team is that I've been working on quarterly goals with the group. So every quarter I've been listing what our goals are to deliver that in the specific quarter, where I don't really care which milestone it ends up in, but we discuss it and we kind of formulate a high level plan. And we reached about 75% of our targets, which is the best that this group has ever done. And I think it's a really structured way and a really good way to approach the team.
Would you mind providing a reference? Yeah, sorry, maybe Victor's gonna ask the same thing. I'd love to see what those goals were. I think it will help frame.
Yeah, that's exactly what I just asked some questions on, like, do you have an MR delivery you're tracking? And is that what you got 75% of? Because that's how I do with my team. I plan like MRs.
Mine is by issues and not by MRs, but basically that's the idea. Like, if we either delivered it or we didn't.
And that would be like at the start, you're saying these are what we consider the highest priority issues.
Yeah.
I want to make sure they get delivered. Not I want to see a certain MR rate, but more.
No, exactly. And what this also helped me personally was it really kept me focused in which items I was pushing into milestones, because it was like, if this isn't in the list, I don't care how interesting it is, I'm not doing it. So I thought it was really helpful.
Cool, that's great.
Cool.
Harry,
One more thing about
Oh, sorry, go Victor.
Could you add some detail to us who haven't seen the survey and the survey results that you mentioned that it wasn't that shiny?
In Spinnaker? So we did a survey, which was basically, choosing 1 to 5 answer, just to make it simple to understand. And we had 41 respondents on that survey, out of which 4 mentioned that they were using Spinnaker, but the answers didn't make any sense. So it's clear that they're not using it. It was just like stupid answers. So
it's that Spinnaker is so difficult to use that they're not sure how to answer the question, which is insight in itself.
Maybe, but it was just really low response rate, and it was really hard to get people. Like, I even had Sid tweet about it because no one was like answering the survey. And I still think that the personal interview that we had was much more beneficial for me. Not because the answers that were given, but just I knew that these people knew what they were talking about. And like in the context of the conversation, it was easy to understand. So that's about the survey.
Hey, I'll read this down. Hey, a quick question. Do you recall, were you guys able to look at the research that I linked to Jason that we did over at Nike on why we chose Spinnaker?
I don't think I went through it.
Okay, I'll link it to you because we did a lot of work at Nike and we wrote up a whole new, there's a piece of software that we open sourced that came out of that work. And it talks about why we have to use Spinnaker for certain things over Jenkins. That might be helpful because sometimes the surveys may not get you what you're looking for. I'll look for that and post it. And my other question was, do you have a link to the latest docs on your auto deploy to ECS? Because I think that would be super interesting for us to look at with what we just did with the Fargate driver. Maybe we can use that to deploy our Fargate stuff to ECS versus doing it the way we're doing it right now. That'd be
Not yet.
cool.
Not yet.
Okay.
I have the template. I have like documentation about the template, but not yet to the auto DevOps workflow.
Okay.
Well, I think that would be this. I think he'd be interested in the auto DevOps or on the template.
Yeah, so I'll get the template when I have
the auto DevOps workflow is just making that template be part of what auto DevOps chooses. But the template will show you their instructions that they're using for deploying applications to ECS.
Yeah, and to give you guys some context, what we're doing right now is for the GitLab runner on ECS, we have the docs that were written up where the user can deploy it to an EC2 instance, and we're also testing where the user can deploy the runner that is also to a Fargate container. Customers are already asking us for the pattern where the runner is being deployed to a Fargate container. So if we can figure that out, and then we can use this auto deploy thing, we can have an end-to-end fully automated solution. So that'd be super cool.
So I'll get you the template documentation.
Yeah. Let me find out. Thank you. Thanks.
Just to make sure, I don't think that what you described is what the ECS template is doing is deploying a customer's app to ECS after it's built, and it is using a runner to do that. The runner might not be in ECS. So the idea of using that existing deployed runner to deploy another runner, I'm not sure if that's particularly useful.
Yeah, so what we're doing right now, yeah, that's where it gets kind of screwy. So what we're doing like for example, our test project right now, we're actually using the shared runners on GitLab.com to build the Docker image that then pushes the runner container to Fargate, to ECR, and then on ECS. That's part of our testing strategy.
Oh,
So,
okay. So you're saying for your internal testing, sorry, gotcha.
Right, so some customers have been like, okay, can I build a pattern where my entire flow of setting up a run is fully automated? So maybe we can borrow that pattern that
Gotcha.
Orit's done to kind of show them how to do that end-to-end flow.
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
Yeah.
Thanks.
No worries.
Hopefully Victor is also smiling because part of the design sprint was about having a runner type agent on Kubernetes clusters to help manage them. So all things come back to runners apparently.
Hopefully not.
All right. Thanks, Ori.
Want to name it.
Darren, you're up.
In terms of, I was trying to think of anything super interesting last week. The running team was just heads down, just trying to get the merge request wrapped up because the runner code freeze is in 2 days. But I think the only really interesting thing I want to call out is that Elliot's OKRs for the next quarter, there's definitely great alignment because the top thing for the runner team is working on the efficiency improvements, making CI/CD easy. So I thought it was super cool. Other than that, nothing else to kind of report at the moment. Just working through MRs for the 12th, the code freeze on the 7th.
Cool. Town.
I'm just catching up after being out for a couple weeks.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Okay, I was just typing mine. It was a short week for me last week because I was off, but I really enjoyed I participated in the design sprint. Jackie, if you want to take notes, that would be awesome. I'm not very good at typing and talking. I participated in the design sprint, which I really enjoyed. Lots of very smart people, and it was awesome to hear about more advanced Kubernetes use cases and how we were kind of trying to solve that customer problem. And then I had the opportunity to participate in a Gartner inquiry about a Gartner report that I think I've mentioned before about value stream delivery platforms and value stream management platforms, two new likely Gartner categories. They're going to do quadrants on them. Value stream delivery platform is basically by definition GitLab, something that helps the whole software delivery value stream process, a single kind of tool as an underlying platform. And then a management platform is something like Tasktop, if you're familiar, that provides an overlay across all your other tools to get some insight about the value stream of the software development process through those tools. Really great conversation. I will provide the notes that I think we kind of anchored them that we were certainly the leaders in delivery platforms and had a burgeoning set of capabilities for value stream management that would also make us a very successful management platform. That I think the way the managed team is thinking about it, it will likely be a little bit more pluggable, so you could get kind of from other tools value stream information. But it was insightful to me. You know, analysts are always a little bit ahead, but they were talking about how the conversation with their customer inquiries is kind of shifting from what is this DevOps and how do we do with it? There are still some people moving through that wave, but there are kind of the advanced practitioners of DevOps who are looking for how do I prove that this is adding value, and how do I continuously improve its ability to add value? So I think they're recognizing a shift. You've seen Gartner in general like pull away from these point specific tool categories. Like I think they're doing away with the CDRA and moving towards this more broader tool set, which is perfect for GitLab. So let me add the link here real quick. There you go. That is the summary. And then I think there's also a link to the actual report if you're interested in reading the report. It's a pretty short report, but if you read the report, it reads like, you know, GitLab's value proposition, which is awesome to see. All right. I think hopefully everyone has completed the Q1 OKRs, provided an update to the Q1 OKRs. If you haven't, please do so. We're going to be scoring them in the next couple of days. Our Q2 OKRs are shaping up. there's a link to an issue where that discussion is happening. I think largely the themes as it gets finalized will be implementing our North Star metric process, a focus on span. So this is, hopefully this has been evident. I think we've been discussing in the product meetings and product channel, but we're starting to realize that not just stages per user, but actually stages per active namespace, which is actually at a group level. You can think of it, namespaces are groups, helps drive tier adoption, future tier adoption and stickiness. And so focusing on that will be important, which will mean all of us developing new patterns for doing what we're doing here, discussing what's happening in other stages and figuring out how ways we can drive experiences that encourage users to adopt additional stages and additional capabilities. So, and then probably of higher importance than both of those is a renewed focus on the performance of GitLab.com, because we have larger and larger customers landing there that are experiencing performance degradations. And so it's important that you keep a tight eye on performance improvements in your area and make sure you understand them deeply and are prioritizing them appropriately. I'm not doing blanket prioritization, but make sure that you have a good understanding of where there are performance bottlenecks. Typically, these are identified by the infrastructure team and issues are created for your teams, but just pay special attention and make sure you understand those deeply. And then also, as a result of general economic tightening, we are trying to hit a specific revenue number cash burn number for this year. And with slightly dipped revenue contribution, we have some cost controls we're trying to put into GitLab.com specifically. So you'll see a renewed interest in things like, Darren's well aware, like having CI minute quota capabilities enabled. We'll be probably adjusting some of those, controlling them more tightly. You'll also see, Tim's not on, but maybe Tao, for you, a renewed interest in giving our users ability to manage their storage. So we've been talking about like clearing up artifacts, CI artifacts and other things like that. Right now, if we wanted to put a cap on overall storage, we don't have great tools for our users to say, okay, I'm at my cap, how do I kind of clean up? And so we're gonna need to make sure we have some of those tools available as we focus on storage and CI minute caps. Basically, I think it's our responsibility to make sure our users have tools to keep those consumption costs down.
With respect to the OKRs, actually, I have a question. Not the OKRs, the recoded demo that I've tried to set up Spinnaker, the production version of it. So when there was a discussion, it's just so hard. I failed. That's the case. And
hey, I'm not alone.
So I was thinking whether I should check the box that, do you have a competitor demo? I don't actually, but
you should check the box. If two people have failed,
but I'm also checking the box. I also
yes, that's fine. I mean, I think that just let's make sure we write that in the comments somewhere. Like
Victor, I got everything running on AWS, but nothing else happened. Like once I did a create application on Spinnaker, nothing. Everything was error. I couldn't figure out anything.
I didn't get that far actually. I tried on GCP and wait, I had to set up like GCP, but S3 for the storage because I had access only to that. And when I wanted to install the actual Spinnaker, so that from the command line, from this hall or whatever they call it, just aired and without any meaning.
I got the instance up and running, and that's it. That's as far as I got. Couldn't do anything with it.
I would recommend, if you guys are already trying to demo it, I would recommend the Armory.io getting started. They're doing a bunch of a little bit simplifying how to get going on that thing.
I actually did a course on Udemy and I couldn't figure it out how to get it ready. It was like super complicated.
Nice.
I'm trying to think of where to document that.
I think this is a great opportunity to like highlight that in your competitive landscape page. Yeah. Be like, hey, this is
GitLab is easy to use.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of mixed feelings about that because I was just thinking, or read. I think Jason with this too. A couple of the really top-notch Kubernetes engineers that I work with at my Nike days, they left Nike and they've been there forever. And they went to go work at Armory, and Armory is hiring a bunch of Kubernetes folks. And so I think we need to be looking at Armory's value proposition around what they're trying to do and tweak our messaging around that, because there is a nice getting started guide now on Armory.io. So we may want to make sure that it's really truly still difficult to get started before we say it's really difficult to get started, because Armory is making some waves in the Bay Area right now. So I will just look at that.
I would say, contrary to that, if the experience isn't that someone can come in and walk their way through it, then their documentation is lacking. So it is something to like highlight that not everybody can go in.
I think I don't want to put words in Darren's mouth, but Armory is, I didn't know about this, but Armory is an enterprise distribution, like RHEL of Spinnaker. And so their documentation might be better. It might just be that the open source documentation is not great. And that's why providers like this can step in. They even have, I just saw they have Spinnaker as a service. So they have a hosted version of Spinnaker that you can sign up for today.
Yes, Sid actually pinged Jackie and me on that like last week, and they were like, this is so difficult. We need to have consultants on call all the time. People were really complaining about the fact that they were having a hard time with the enterprise version as well.
Really?
And it's I was talking to Cisco, and Cisco has a bunch of Terraform scripting to short circuit some of their Spinnaker setup so that they can deploy Spinnaker across multiple Kubernetes clusters, because the enterprise level is very challenging for them to manage. So I do think, from the customer interview that I conducted on behalf of Ori, there's something to be said that like it's hard to do.
Okay.
Yeah. On the other hand, it also just may mean that, you know, we're not as experienced. I mean, it could mean a bunch of stuff. I'm afraid to like, post something like that, because someone else could like have it ready in no time.
Well,
yeah, I think the question is how we form it. So if we don't say that it's about Spinnaker that we speak, but we just speak that with GitLab it's easy to set up and get rolling, then there isn't much to be said against. And I think that's definitely one of the consequences of having one app, that if you set up that one app, it actually works pretty fast.
I do think, like Jackie, you mentioned, looking at it from user interviews. So even if there's a ton of slog to get through it, if they get some value at the end, like I just started to watch that video you posted this morning, or like the value that the customer gets after getting through that slog is where we want to make sure we understand what need that is meeting. The fact that it's painful is just a kind of probably a go-to-market thing to suggest avoiding it if you haven't already started with it. Cool. We're over time. Apologies for running late. Thanks, everybody.